Hey everyone, so over the past few months, we've been keeping a close eye on something pretty exciting. Roast exposure is absolutely exploding across the markets. And guess what? We just got another huge update that's going to blow your mind. Bybit, yeah, that's right, the massive crypto exchange that's basically neck and neck with Binance, just officially listed ROUSD on their spot trading platform with Ripple. We're talking about some serious trading pairs here. ROUSD/USDT, Bitcoin/ROUSD, Ethereum/ROUSD, XRP/ROUSD, and even MNT/ROUSD. Now, keep in mind that availability depends on where you're located, but this is absolutely massive news. Why should you care? Because we're literally watching USD exposure build momentum like never before. And here's the thing, we've been tracking Ripple's moves over the past couple of weeks, and almost everything they're doing ties back to ROUSD exposure. We're seeing major developments in tokenization efforts and some serious institutional players jumping on board. This is exactly why ROUSD deserves our attention right now. Ripple has been laser-focused on cracking the top 5 stablecoin rankings by the end of this year. That's been their goal for quite some time. But if they really want to make this happen, they need to shift into absolute overdrive mode. Speaking of which, we have over here 8 million ROUSD minted. Another 3 million ROUSD minted. And then, boom! Another 40 million ROUSD gets minted. All of this happened on the 26th, by the way. So let me put this in perspective for you. We're talking about over 50 million ROUSD minted in just one single day. That's absolutely insane when you think about it. Okay, here's where things get absolutely wild. ROUSD's value is now sitting at almost $800 million. But wait, that's not even the craziest part. You've got to see this monthly transfer volume. It's up a massive 17% in just the last 30 days alone. We're talking about $4.25 billion here, people. This is some seriously significant growth we're witnessing with ROUSD right now. The numbers don't lie. This thing is on fire. And speaking of stablecoins, here's something else that's going to grab your attention. Now, if we take a look at the top 5 stablecoins on this list, here's the reality check. ROUSD still has some serious ground to cover. To crack that top 5 spot, they need to hit $4.66 billion. So yeah, there's definitely some work cut out for them. So we're keeping our eyes glued to ROUSD right now. The big question everyone's asking, will it actually crack that top 5 stablecoin spot by the end of the year? Honestly, based on the numbers we're seeing, it's looking pretty challenging. But here's the thing, and you know this if you've been in crypto for any amount of time. This space is absolutely unpredictable. We've seen some mind-blowing moves happen in what feels like the blink of an eye. So, am I completely writing off the possibility that ROUSD could make it to the top 5 by year-end? Absolutely not. Never say never in crypto, right? Now, moving beyond all of this. All right, let's jump in our time machine and go back to June for a second. There was this really important post about Ripple's UK policy summit that we need to talk about. So, what was this summit all about? 4 main things: building a growth-driven framework, leading on global standards, advancing stablecoin adoption, and breaking down those pesky tokenization barriers. Now, I've been talking a lot recently about the connections between Ripple and the UK, and here's why this matters so much. While the US government keeps knocking down obstacles for stablecoins left and right, we're also seeing incredible stablecoin adoption happening globally. And when we look at other nations jumping on board, the UK stands out for one massive reason. Get ready for this stat. It's going to blow your mind. The foreign exchange market processes $7.5 trillion every single day. But here's the kicker. $5.4 trillion of that happens right there in the UK. That's over 70% of the entire global FX market. This is exactly why the UK, pushing for stablecoin regulations, advancing those regulations, and ultimately adopting stablecoins themselves is such a huge deal. We're talking about the heart of global finance here. And Ripple? They seem to be positioning themselves as a major player in all of this. That June policy summit was just the beginning, but there's even more to this story. Their open roles. They have 10 job openings in the UK. Okay, right off the bat, we've got some huge news about institutional DeFi coming straight from RippleX. And if we're talking about that London announcement, well, here it is. right here in front of us. Again, just looking at the role overview. So check this out. This role is all about owning the complete institutional partnership journey from start to finish. We're talking about finding and closing those big money deals, then taking them to the next level by turning them into real, measurable impact on the XRP Ledger. And who are they targeting? Asset managers, tokenization platforms, and stablecoin issuers, basically the heavy hitters in the space. The whole goal here is to work across different teams to take those strategic plans and transform them into actual real-world usage, serious transaction volume, and genuine ecosystem growth. Pretty exciting stuff when you think about what this could mean for the future. Look at this! We're talking about institutional DeFi built right on top of the XRP Ledger. And here's what's really exciting. They're locking in all the major players in the game. We're talking asset managers, tokenization platforms, and stablecoin providers. All of them building on the XRP Ledger. This is huge when you think about the kind of institutional momentum we're seeing here. So, this role is completely focused on the XRP Ledger. And get this, it's based right there in the UK. But that's not all we're seeing. They've got tons of positions opening up across the board. Engineering roles, legal positions, product and delivery teams, and of course, more RippleX opportunities. Now here's the thing about RippleX. Pretty much everything they do ties directly back to the XRP Ledger and XRP itself. But they're also ramping up their sales team big time. And I know what you're thinking right now. Okay, Nick, this all sounds interesting, but why should I care? Why are you telling me about all these job postings? Well, if you've been following along, you already know I covered this in a previous video. This is coming straight from Casey, who's the UK CEO and Managing Director for UK and Europe at Ripple. So Casey put out this really interesting post about a roundtable discussion that was happening in the UK. And here's what's fascinating. This discussion was all about the UK and US working together, actually cooperating to make sure crypto gets adopted in both countries. They're talking about how we can lead the charge with this technology and make sure it becomes a massive part of our global financial system. Pretty big stuff, right? Now, of course, Ripple was there, but here's where it gets really interesting. Ripple wasn't just sitting at the table as another participant. They were actually a key player in these discussions. And get this, they were such a major player that they ended up launching a huge initiative right out of this. And that initiative? Well, it's this. So check this out. Casey posted about this incredible Downing Street roundtable that happened during President Trump's state visit to the UK. She was actually there alongside representatives from both UK and US governments, plus leaders from the financial and crypto industries. But here's the kicker. This meeting was just the beginning. It was the precursor to announcing the UK and US Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future. We're talking about a major initiative that's going to build on the deep partnership between the UK and US in financial services. And what's this task force going to do? It's going to create closer cooperation between the US and UK on digital assets, giving them a chance to align on stablecoins, tokenization, and cross-border market access. Plus, it's setting up a template for international cooperation across our entire industry. Now here's where my mind gets blown. We're talking about a blockchain company being a major leader behind all of this. As Casey puts it, Ripple is perfectly positioned as a US-headquartered company with a massive presence in the UK to leverage their transatlantic footprint and drive US-UK tech innovation even further. Can we just pause for a second here? This is absolutely insane. A blockchain-based company is essentially leading the pack on this massive international initiative. Seriously, try to tell me that Ripple isn't operating on a completely different level right now. Try to convince me that they're just another blockchain company. Because what I'm seeing here looks like Ripple is becoming crucial infrastructure, a key player in this new world that's developing right before our eyes. We're watching crypto adoption heat up, stablecoin adoption explode, tokenization taking off everywhere. And it seems like Ripple has positioned itself as the ultimate enabler and accelerator behind all of it. All right, let's dive into the announcements and break this down. So we've got to talk about what this UK-US Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future actually means for the crypto industry. This is where things get really interesting. So right out of the gate, here's what we need to understand. The UK and US have had this incredible partnership in financial services that's basically shaped global markets for decades. We're talking about a deep, historic collaboration that's been rock solid. But now, things are about to get even more exciting because digital assets are taking this partnership to the next level. The big announcement this week about the Transatlantic Task Force for Markets of the Future is absolutely game-changing. Why? Because it's giving both countries the chance to get on the same page about stablecoins, tokenization, and cross-border market access. This is huge, people, and here's what makes this even more significant. The UK has always been amazing at supporting international cooperation, and now they have this incredible opportunity to lead, not just with their own domestic policies, but by driving international cooperation with other major players like the US. Oh, and here's the best part. This isn't just talk with no deadlines. The task force has 180 days to deliver their recommendations through the UK-US Financial Regulatory Working Group. So we've got a clear timeline for real progress here. Now here's something really important to understand. Blockchain technology doesn't care about borders, right? It's inherently global by nature, which creates this massive opportunity for the US and UK to work together more closely on digital assets. And get this new Transatlantic Task Force, it's literally the first agreement of its kind in our industry globally. We're talking about potentially setting the template for international crypto cooperation worldwide. That's absolutely groundbreaking. But here's a stat that's going to blow your mind. According to the Bank for International Settlements, 91% of central banks they surveyed are now exploring digital currencies or stablecoins. 91%! This just shows how urgent it is to get these cross-border regulatory frameworks figured out before everything becomes completely fragmented. And of course, here's where the UK's opportunity gets really exciting. The UK has literally all the perfect ingredients to become the ultimate global digital assets and innovation hub. Think about it. They've got this incredibly dynamic, open economy, some of the deepest capital markets in the world, and an absolutely massive talent pool. They're already crushing it as a global financial services hub, but here's where it gets even better. By tapping into the power of digital assets in financial services, the UK can unlock serious additional economic growth, boost financial inclusion and consumer protection, and cement their position as the top internationally competitive financial center. And what's absolutely mind-blowing about all of this is, here's what's absolutely wild to me. This isn't some massive, traditional financial institution writing this article. This is a blockchain-based company. But when you read it, it sounds like it's coming from one of the biggest names in finance saying, all right, we're going to work with them to advance all of this and make sure the UK becomes the leader. When I really step back and look at what's happening here, Ripple is playing this incredibly fascinating role that's honestly kind of unprecedented. And right off the bat, they're basically saying, look, we've already been leading the charge on advocating for digital asset growth and regulation in the US, and now we're excited to keep working with the UK government to help them achieve their goal of making the UK the world leader in digital assets. Now, while the exact scope of this new task force is still being figured out, Ripple has some ideas about what would be helpful to focus on. So here come their recommendations. First up, and I know you're going to love this one, stablecoins for cross-border settlement. Wow, what a shocker, right? Next up, we've got eligibility of tokenized collateral. Now, this is all about wholesale markets and unlocking serious efficiency in repo, margin, and settlement operations, basically making the behind-the-scenes financial machinery run way smoother. Then there's cross-border equivalence for intermediaries. What does this mean? Well, they want to establish this reciprocal relationship between UK and US regulations so that licensed crypto intermediaries can operate in both markets without having to jump through the same hoops twice. No more duplicative requirements, just streamlined operations across both countries. And finally, they're pushing for proportionate and coordinated roles for industry participants, basically making sure everyone knows their part and can work together effectively. And this is all about making sure that crypto firms and other financial institutions, we're talking banks, payment companies, anyone dealing with crypto, get access to harmonized, fit-for-purpose requirements. In other words, instead of dealing with this crazy patchwork of inconsistent rules that don't make sense together, everyone gets clear, coordinated guidelines that actually work. No more regulatory chaos. And here's what's absolutely mind-blowing about all of this. It genuinely feels like Ripple is the one driving this entire conversation. I mean, seriously, it's like they're sitting in the driver's seat of this whole international regulatory movement. Look, maybe it's just me, but this is rock-solid proof that Ripple isn't your typical blockchain company anymore. They've become this massive enabler in the market. They're literally enabling huge moves happening throughout the entire crypto space. I've been saying this about the US too. And I really believe Ripple has a much bigger role to play than most people realize. We need to keep our eyes on these key areas because it feels like ROUSD and other stablecoins are about to explode in regions like the UK. And think about it. This is where trillions of dollars are moved every single day through this incredibly outdated system that's practically begging to be upgraded. That's exactly where stablecoins come into the picture. That's where DLT and blockchain technology become the main focus and the solution we've all been waiting for. So here's the bottom line. The UK is ready for this transformation. Ripple is already positioned there, already making sure this becomes reality instead of just talk. And with that, I really hope you enjoyed this deep dive. If you found this valuable, definitely smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of this free content. You're also more than welcome to follow me on